Guys, the front office is really moving pieces right now, and I'm telling you, the backroom talks are heating up. There's a lot going on with this team that could seriously change our trajectory, and I need to break it all down for you. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. First off, we've got to talk about the offense, because there's a guy out there just begging for a chance to make an impact. We desperately need the team to convert on third downs so he can finally shine and show what he's capable of. But that's not even the half of it. There's another name that just dropped into Joe Hortiz's lap, and this guy fits our system like a glove. Plus, there's this tactical shift happening on the offensive line that could literally define the future of this franchise in a way nobody saw coming. Look, I've got to be real with you about what's been going on with our run game, because that loss to the Jaguars left the bitterest taste in my mouth. Dropping to 7-4 in a season that promised so much, man, it hurts. But what's really worrying me is looking at that backfield and seeing we're missing that explosive piece we desperately need. We're in the bye week now, licking our wounds, and the question that just won't go away is about the return of our rookie, Omarion Hampton. The kid's been out since week 5, and that's basically an eternity without our main ground weapon. He was leading the entire team with over 300 yards before he hurt his ankle and hit the IR. And now with the news that Najee Harris tore his Achilles and is done for the season, the responsibility on Hampton's return has tripled. We all know the offense gets predictable without him, and Justin Herbert ends up having to sling the ball all over the field, which honestly isn't the ideal system we want to run. The impact of this situation is gigantic, because we're smack in the middle of the AFC playoff race. We can't afford to slip up now. We need that threat in the backfield to open up the play action and keep defenses honest. Coach Jim Harbaugh dropped a hint that there's a real chance Hampton could return to practice after this week off, and that would be absolutely huge for us. But here's the technical detail that matters. He needs to have that 21-day practice window activated. He can't just show up and play. You know what I mean? The staff has to see if he can handle the grind in practice before putting him back on the active roster. It's a race against the clock because every single game now is basically a pre-playoff matchup. In my opinion, we can't rush the kid and risk losing him for good. But we also can't just sit around waiting for a miracle from the backups we've got right now. Hampton brought a different kind of electricity to this offense, that ability to turn a short run into something huge. We lost that element, and the team is missing that element of surprise. If he comes back against the Raiders in Week 33 on November 30th, it could be the shot of adrenaline the locker room needs for this final stretch. But there's this big doubt hanging in the air about how close to 100% he'll be right away. The decision is going to be made next week, depending on how he progresses right now. And it's a critical moment. Harbaugh was crystal clear in saying everything depends on his daily evolution. So the red alert is screaming up there in Los Angeles. But look, while we're waiting for him to get back, a market opportunity has emerged that could change the configuration of this offense in a way nobody expected. This market situation dropped like a bomb, and it could honestly be the solution we've been praying for. The Houston Texans made a decision that caught everyone off guard by waiving Dameon Pierce. That's right, the guy is free on the waiver wire, and when we look at our roster, it's blindingly obvious that the Chargers cannot ignore this chance. Pierce is only 25 years old. He's young, he's got gas in the tank to burn, and he's only 2 years removed from an absurd rookie season. Multiple analysts are already calling it out that Los Angeles is his natural landing spot. His style is that north-south aggressive, tackle-breaking runner. And man, it's exactly what our offensive coordinator Greg Roman loves. The immediate impact would be giving us depth in a position group that's gasping for air. With Omarion Hampton still uncertain about his return and Najee Harris out for the season, we're out of reliable options. Kimani Vidal has shown some flashes, that's true, but he also got hurt in the last game and has been inconsistent. The naked truth is that outside of those vital moments, our running back production has been zero since Hampton's injury. Against the Jaguars, it was painfully clear that we were relying on players who, with all due respect, shouldn't even be on an NFL roster that's fighting for the playoffs. You just can't sustain a campaign like that. For me, bringing in Pierce is a mandatory move. He doesn't have to be the star carrying the whole load, but he brings that physicality that's been missing. The guy ran for over 900 yards as a rookie on a bad team. His problem in Houston was scheme, purely scheme. They switched to a zone system that doesn't match his style. Here in Roman's power system, he can find that aggressive football again. This is that low-risk, sky-high reward kind of signing that makes total sense. Joe Hortiz is always talking about improving the bottom of the roster, about churning the roster, and this is the perfect definition of that philosophy. And there's a detail that makes this urgent. He's on the waiver wire right now. Any team can try to snag him, but our need is screaming loud. It's a chance to add legitimate talent without spending draft capital, just taking on a contract that's worthwhile for the potential. Pierce has more balance than a lot of veterans out there and more power than most of our backups. He just needs the right place, and the right place is here in Los Angeles.
But hold up, because reinforcing the run game is useless if the wall in front doesn't hold the line, and there's a tough-as-nails name popping up that we need to talk about. When we take a cold, hard look at this final stretch of the season, it becomes crystal clear that the durability of our offensive line is the ultimate deciding factor. It's what separates a playoff run from watching the postseason from the sofa. And it's precisely in this do-or-die scenario that the name Nick Gates emerges as a very interesting chess piece for our front office. The guy is 29 and brings a baggage of resilience that seems tailor-made for the culture Jim Harbaugh has installed here. He's that hard-nosed player who isn't afraid of a fight, and that fits perfectly with what we need right now, which is interior line depth when bodies start breaking down. The tactical impact of this move would be immediate. Greg Roman's system demands mobility and aggressiveness to open up those running lanes, and Gates, when healthy, delivers that with absurd tenacity. He's overcome serious injuries in his career and came back playing at a high level. Having him on the roster would be a luxury insurance policy for both the center and guard spots. This allows us to maintain the complexity of our runs and RPOs without having to simplify the playbook if a starter goes down. Keeping Justin Herbert protected and the run game efficient is the number 1, 2, and 3 priority for this team. I see this move in a great light. Financially, we're talking about a low-risk move, probably a veteran minimum contract that won't break the bank, but that adds invaluable locker room presence. His work ethic, that quiet leadership, it adds so much value with guys like Rashawn Slater. Of course, his medical history requires scrutiny because availability is the best ability in the NFL, but the cost-benefit ratio leaves heavily positive. We play in the AFC West, man, and the pounding is different against these elite pass rushers. This is one of those backroom moves that the average fan ignores, but that wins games in January. Gates would bring that street fight mentality we value so much, acting as a stabilizer on critical downs and in the red zone, where experience counts way more than pure athleticism. It's a calculated maneuver to bulletproof the roster against the unforeseen. This discussion about the offensive line pulls a thread that could reveal the future of our center position, and the answer might be right under our noses this whole time. We know the line has suffered with injuries all season, and only 2 Warriors have played every single snap. One of them is Zion Johnson, and let's be honest here, Johnson has been by far our most consistent offensive lineman. The guy's playing elite ball. The problem is he's in the last year of his rookie deal since the 5th-year option wasn't picked up. Jim Harbaugh loves his consistency and calls him steady, saying he's there every day and the guy never misses. Now, the impact of this for the future is what gets me excited. Our general manager, Joe Hortiz, came from the Ravens school, from the legendary Ozzie Newsome, and there in Baltimore, they had a very specific plan for centers: draft them, develop them, and test them. Before Tyler Linderbaum, the last 3 starting Ravens centers were drafted at other positions and moved to the middle. Ryan Jensen, Matt Skura, Bradley Bozeman, they all started as guards. And guess what the Chargers did with Zion in the preseason? They gave him snaps at center. At the time, it seemed like just a random test, but now the pieces are falling into place. My opinion is we're seeing a long-term plan being executed right in front of us. Zion has all the physical and mental attributes that Harbaugh loves. He's smart, strong, and physically, he matches almost identically the profile of the centers the Ravens always used, but he's even more athletic. That preseason test wasn't a fluke. It might have been planting the seed for 2026. If we re-sign him, don't be shocked if his future is commanding the line of scrimmage, making the calls and leading the middle of the protection. It's a masterstroke if it's true. You take your best, most consistent interior player and put him at the cerebral position on the line. Zion has played both guard spots and has versatility. Transforming him into the line's anchor would be following a proven recipe for success. This changes how we look at his contract extension, because we're not just paying a guard, we're paying the future leader of the offensive line. After all this, you can really understand the team's mood in recent weeks. The Chargers are truly turning the corner. We're seeing the team bulletproof itself with intelligence, thinking about both the urgency of the moment and the future of the franchise. This sequence of moves makes it clear the front office is playing chess while the rest of the league is playing checkers.